Hello scrapbooking friends, and thank you for joining me for another video. So today is my update video for October, all the projects that I got done in October, any spending and plans for November as usual. Yeah, one layout. So we've got the Donkey Traveller's Notebook and one layout, plus I'm going to show you a couple of other things that I got up to because I had a lean layout month. So this was my background basics layout, my collaboration that I do with my lovely friend Moira O'Reilly on the 16th of each month, where we create our own backgrounds. We don't use pattern paper, we use our stamps, our tools, you know, dies, punches, stencils, that kind of thing, to create our backgrounds on one layout a month. And this was the only layout that I did get done in the month. There is a reason for that, and I will go into it in a moment. 2 4x6 photos of Mike Holloway here, who plays Joseph in Joseph and the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat. He was the first person that I ever saw to play Joseph back in the 1980s, and I saw him again recently. They're touring a show called Dreamcoat Stars. I've already done a layout about it, I believe. And so these two wood silver stars here, and all these stars that I've stamped on the page here, and then this border that I created using stamps. Yeah, if you saw the video, there was lots of smudges and things. It didn't go too well, but you know, I like it, and I just, yeah, I just like the overall layout. This Schmel box of crayons, main character energy alphabet was absolutely perfect for the colouring in the photo. And these colours are not colours I really use very much because they don't appear like in my photos, and all my layouts generally come from the colours in the photos, or you know, the design element comes from the colours in the photos. And I've just said, such a thrill to see Mike again, this time in Dreamcoat Stars, and they actually came to the island. And then Letters to July, that's where these two stickers came from. Schmel talks about Letters to July. It's an Etsy shop, and the lady does musical theatre themed stickers, and of course I had to grab a Joseph one. So Maura and I are taking a little break from background basics, so we're not doing it in November, December. Then we're going to think about how we're going to take it forward next year. We don't have any plans for that at the moment. We're just taking a little break, just having a little breather from that for the time being. So I've been focusing on my house of scrap, my scrapbooking housekeeping, and I've got videos. One went up, I'm recording this Friday, so one went up today, and hopefully this video will go up today as well. And then I've got 2 videos pre-recorded for the following 2 Fridays, and then I need to do another one. I'm still in 2018. But in the process of doing that, I've realised that I've created over 1,000 layouts. So I think it's something like 1,080. Now, some of the layouts are not here. Some of those layouts were gifted, but quite a lot of them are here. And I've kind of made the decision that I'm not going to buy any more albums. So I've got 54 albums now. I started off with 50 at the beginning of the House of Scrap, but I did panic buy 3 more. Plus I bought that amazing Schmel one that I found on eBay. So I've got 54 albums, and I don't intend on purchasing any more albums in the future. So what I'm saying is I'm going to be mindful of what I scrapbook in future. So I know Schmel sometimes says that she's got a set amount of albums, and she can't have any more than that. And I often think to myself, well, how do you do that? What are you going to do when those albums are full? So yeah, what I'm doing at this moment is letting go of some layouts. So I have got, in those albums that I've got, I have got capacity now. I think there's about 7 albums free at the moment, but I've still got the rest of 2018 to do. 19, 20, 21, 22 and 23. I will be letting some layouts go, and since I started the House of Scrap, I believe I've created 22 layouts, so that I've added 22 layouts to the pile, but I've let a lot more than that go. So yeah, once I finish the process and I know what I'm keeping and what I'm not keeping and how they fit into the albums, I'll know how much of space I've got left. And I think as time goes by, maybe I should, if an album becomes full, I'll rethink the categories, whether I can split some into an album that's not as full, or a theme that's not as full, crossover themes. And the other thing I would have to think about was if I was to do a layout, could I let a layout go? But I don't think I'm going to get to capacity for quite a long time. But yeah, that's my thinking at the moment, this moment in time. So that's my 12 by 12 layout all done and shown to you. Like I said, concentrating on the House of Scrap. Did have a week's holiday in October, so the second week in October I was away on holiday, so I was prepping for that beforehand, of course, and then I needed a week to get over it when I got back. So that's another reason why I haven't didn't do many only did one layout in October. But I have actually now made a conscious decision not to create any more 12-inch layouts for a little while. I mean, there may be exceptions to that, you know, if there's something that I really want to scrapbook and I can't wait. But at this moment in time, I have got layouts planned. I've got probably about half a dozen layouts planned in my little box here, so they will get done. But I'm yeah, at this moment in time, I'm not purchasing new supplies, and I am not making 12-inch layouts because I really don't want to add to what I've got already until I finish my housekeeping. I have been working on my Donkey Traveller's notebook, as you can see here. So we finished off here. This was last time. Then I added an extra page in because I'd not mentioned that I did a talk as part of the speakers network for the Donkey Sanctuary. I did a talk to the Isle of Wight Stroke Club. It's like a society, and I did a talk for them about the Donkey Sanctuary. And it was just a general talk about the sanctuary, and I focused on the recovery of little Theo here, who had some surgery, and I focused on his story. And what happened was they gave a really generous donation after my talk, and they asked if they could have their coffee morning at the Donkey Sanctuary the next month, which they did. So that's amazing, isn't it? So I was really proud of myself for that. I am dismantling layouts, as you know, but I am also repurposing stash, embellishments, etc. that come off of those layouts, and these two pieces here did come off a layout that I repurposed. So they're layered, textured stickers, and they're really nice, aren't they? And it's possible they were K&Co. I did like K&Co projects at the time. The other thing I'm at this moment in time is, you'll probably notice, there's not a lot of embellishment going on. I am kind of really just photos and journaling at the moment because I wanted to get this done. I like to get it done, and if I don't get it done within the week before I go back again, yeah, I don't like it I like to get it done. So sometimes that means just doing the journaling and the photos. So so this was my first week at the sanctuary in October, and I did, in the morning I was grooming the Shetland ponies. So we've got 115 donkeys at the sanctuary. We've got 1 mule, and we've also got 15 ponies. So when we rescue a donkey, they quite often have a pony friend, and we don't leave the pony friend behind. So that's why we've got 15 ponies at the sanctuary. And this morning I was grooming the Shetlands, the ones that wanted to be groomed, that is. Some of them were not over keen. This is little Doogie. So little Doogie here was born at the sanctuary. His mum is called Dottie. And when she came to the sanctuary, she was with foal, which was unexpected. We don't breed at the sanctuary, as I'm sure you can imagine. But yes, occasionally a donkey or pony does arrive with a foal. And then, so I groomed the Shetlands, and then Effion and Frankie were in the barn that day because one of them, I think, had an eye issue. So I groomed them. And then later on, I went for a little walk with Theo and Noah. These are the two donkeys that, not these two, the two donkeys that were at the hospital. Theo was the one who needed the surgery, and his friend is Noah. So when they came back to the sanctuary, he was allowed a short walk each day to begin with because he's on strict box rest during his recovery, but he was allowed 15 minutes a day of a walk in a field. And then on the day that I was there that day, I took him for his little walk, and he trotted up the field to say hello to Dim Bob in the other field, which was quite nice. So that was exciting. And then later on in the afternoon, I helped with the feeds, and I did the hays as well. So I helped make up the feeds and distribute the hays to the different herds. And then I picked Busby's pen. So Busby's the latest pony to arrive at the Donkey Sanctuary. He's not a mini Shetland. I think he's an actual Shetland. So because I've only ever really heard of mini Shetland, it never occurred to me that there was an actual Shetland pony, like a larger size, which is the same with donkeys as well, because we've got mini donkeys at the sanctuary as well as, you know, the not mini donkeys. So yeah, he's quite a character, is Busby. So he was in a little pen within the herd because I think he's a bit boisterous. He's actually been integrated into the herd now, but yeah, that day he was in his own little pen, so I picked his pen for him whilst he was eating his hay. And then later on in the day, I took apples and carrots to friends and family and distributed them at the end of the day. Right, the following week I was on holiday, so I wasn't at the sanctuary, and then this is the week after when I was back at the sanctuary. So I was back again after my holiday. A bit later, I went in a bit later that day because my husband had got appointments and things. And I spent the morning after I arrived, I was spent finding donkeys for visitors. So I was quite busy doing that. And then later on, I sort of started helping on the farm a bit more. I helped to move some herds, and for different reasons, because they were doing hedge trimming in the fields. And then I helped make up the feeds again in the afternoon, and I fed the fresh air friends, and that includes Frosty and Murphy here, and also Busby, who I just mentioned, and little Billy Boy, who's one of my adoptions. And there's also 2 other ponies in that herd as well, called Todd and Daisy. So yeah, I keep getting distracted. I like to tell you the stories of the donkeys. I hope you like that. So Frosty and Murphy really made me laugh because they both eat from the same bowl. So quite often the donkeys, you know, they're a bit territorial when it comes to their food, and they can be a little bit of argy-bargy. But these two, honestly, you take the 2 bowls in and they have the same food, so it's not a problem. And they'll both kind of eat from the same bowl. Like, they don't like argue or fight. They just happily eat from the same bowl. And rather sadly, we have since lost Murphy. He was quite a poorly donkey, and they made a decision that, you know, to let him go because he was becoming poorly, and they couldn't keep weight on him, and it was getting to the point where he didn't have quality of life. So yeah, I think I knew it. Did I know at this point that we were losing him? I'm not sure, but anyway, it was like a real privilege to sort of feed them and spend some time with those 2. And little Frosty here now is, because they've been pretty much lifelong friends together, and they're trying to find a donkey to be his friend. But he's been a little bit picky, but it's fine because he's in with the other herd. He's in with the ponies as well, so he's not on his own. He's with the ponies. So yeah, so they just really made me laugh, and that was a really nice memory, just a lovely memory. And they do have a bowl each, I've said there. So Billy Boy here is I'm told, has very few, if no, teeth. So what he has, like, his food is water is added to it. So it comes in a bowl and it's quite sloppy, and he sort of eats from the bowl. But what he does is he like flings it around. So when he's eating it, he's flinging it around at the same time, and it all ends up on the floor or in the surrounding area, wherever you're feeding him. Then, of course, you know, he sweeps around to finish it off, which is what I've said here. Just sweeps around the floor to get to it. So yeah, that was a really nice day, that one. And then the following week was half term. So very, very busy. The rain held off, actually. The forecast was for heavy rain all day, but it held off right until I was leaving, actually, at the end of the day. So I was busy sort of grooming the oldies in the morning, and then my colleague and I went off and groomed the small and special herd, which is Frida, Rupert, Augustus, Samson and Don Quixote. And then we spent some time with Brandy and Murphy, because we also knew that we were losing Brandy. Brandy was very poorly as well, and his quality of life was not going to be good, so we knew that we were losing both of them. So we actually spent a bit of time with them that day. And I spent time with a young girl whose birthday it was. They'd asked me if I could find Ruby and Frida for her. So yeah, I spent a little bit of time with her, making her birthday special. And then I did later on poo pick Brandy and Harvey. So Harvey is in our old and proud herd, as was Brandy. But because Brandy had been poorly, they were sort of in our medical pens, and Harvey was the donkey that had been keeping him company. And so they were together in a field, and I poo-picked them, and I was allowed to give them sort of a bowl of food, like as a treat. And then later on I helped with all the feeds, and I did a little bit of hoof picking, and then hoof picked Prentice and CJ. And then I gave the food at the end of the day, the tea time food, to Harvey and Brandy, which was nice because I knew that I wouldn't be seeing Brandy again, bless him. And yeah, when I first started at the Donkey Sanctuary, I used to think that Brandy was a girl donkey, and there's a couple of donkey names that for some reason I couldn't remember whether they were like boys and girls, and Brandy was one of them. I used to think he was a girl. So on this day I sort of gave him a little hug and had a little chat with him, and told him that I was sorry that I thought he was a girl when he first came to the sanctuary, bless him. And he had such a shaggy coat and a thick fringe. That'll be my memory of him. So yeah, it was nice to spend that little bit of time with them. And then I said here that I fed Jackie in India and put Jackie back, fed the oldies, took the hay to the minis, and the apples and carrots to the Euro herd. So yeah, that was a nice day as well. And then the following week, I'd said here that Murphy and Brandy had passed away, and precious boys. So what I did was I went up to see Frosty, who was Murphy's friend, and gave him some treats and things, spent a little bit of time with him, and he seems to be doing okay without Murphy at the moment, so we're hoping that will continue. And Harvey, who was keeping Brandy company, has gone back into the old and proud herd. So it was Halloween day today at the sanctuary. It was supposed to be the week before, which was the main school holiday week, but because the weather was horrendous on the Wednesday, so I was in on the Tuesday, and on the Wednesday the weather was horrendous. They had to cancel the Halloween event, and then the following day they had to close the sanctuary because of some works going on, repair works with the water board. That was last week. That was this week, the Halloween week, and yeah, it was this week, just gone. And then yeah, so it was awful, just awful. So they changed the day to Halloween day. The Halloween day to the day that I was in, actually, which was a Tuesday. So it was quite busy. And they had lots of things for the children to do. And then I spent most of the morning trying to spray fly repellent onto the oldies and the lads. Yeah, so there was some flies around in the barns. All the donkeys were inside because of the bad weather. So we were sort of trying to put some repellent on them to keep them comfortable. And yeah, even Colin Senior and Eric, who absolutely love being groomed, were trying to get away from me. So I was doing it with a colleague in the morning. We were trying to sort of brush it on them. And I did manage actually in the end to do all of them, the oldies. And then later on in the morning I was with some other colleagues, and we were sort of trying to do the jet lads, and one of the farm team was head collaring the donkey, and then myself and another volunteer were doing one side each of the donkey with the spray, and then we were releasing them and trying to catch the next one, but they were running around the barn and trying to get away. It was quite funny, but yeah, I think we managed to sort of get most of them done, and hopefully the others will get a bit of the residual. So they were giving us the runaround, I've said here. Making up feeds in the afternoon and helping to distribute them, including friends and family, which is Elvis has heard. And then as we were in the barn doing the feeds, the tour group came in, so we had to kind of work around them, which was quite funny because they were on a tour, so they were being given a tour, but of course they were interested in what we were doing, giving the medicine to some of the donkeys and giving them their feeds and what have you. So that was quite exciting for the tour group, of course. Not so exciting for the tour leader because her tour group were getting a bit distracted. This is the old and proud herd. So yeah, I managed to grab this photo of them. Most of them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There's a couple missing. Colin Rupert's not in that photo. And one of the... Actually, 2 of the white donkeys are not in that one photo either, because I think that's Eric. And then we've got Merlin, Bob and Scotty and Sutty. Yeah. So yeah, so that's the end of that for this month. And what I'm planning at this moment in time is finishing this book, and then not sure how I'm going to go forward with that, I have to say. So I had a week's holiday, and when I came, because I'm not doing 12 by 12 layouts, I thought I would do my album for my holiday. And what I'm going to do is, because there's not much to show you in this video, even though it's gone on for quite a long time already, I thought I'd show you the album that I made for that little break. We took a little break. We were supposed to go in the spring, but Chester, our dog, had to have surgery, so we had to postpone it till October. And it was over on the mainland we stayed in a little sort of barn conversion in near Henley-on-Thames for a week. So it was a nice holiday. It wasn't anything like, there weren't any I didn't take any amazing photos or anything. There was nothing like massively exciting that we did. So I'm not doing any 12 by 12 layouts, but I thought I'd do a mini album. And in the spirit of trying not to purchase new supplies, I thought I'd make my own mini album, and in the spirit of reusing some of the stash from my dismantled layouts, I thought I'd make my own album. I didn't want to buy another mini album, so yeah, I've repurposed 2 book rings from an album that I'd made before that I didn't need anymore, and a lot of the stash in this album is repurposed. So these are repurposed from a layout. These wood leaves, they were definitely a Christmas decoration or a Christmas wrapping item from the supermarket. This is what I've done to create the album, is just put 2 pattern papers together, punch them and set an eyelet, and then the book ring has gone through. This is the Simple Stories foam alpha that I use a lot, the green one. This is repurposed, and this flare is repurposed. So this is a fabric tree, and this is a flare piece, and this is a new stash item. That's that Vicky Boo in print shop. So that is a new stash item, so I'll pop that on there. And then we go in, and this is pattern paper here, And then my original idea was to use my cinch machine, so like the binding, you know, the spiral bound. I was going to do that, and I was going to use a template, a tag shaped template to create the layout with. But as I was doing that, I came up with the idea. It didn't go too well. I wasn't really happy with how it was coming out. And in the end, I thought, you know what, I've got a lot of these 6x8 page protectors, so I'm going to use those and create my own cover and everything. So that's what I've done. So a lot of this is just pattern paper cut down from my scrap box. Photo here of the name of this was outside where we stayed, so it was on like a it was on the gate, you know, as you go into the property. So I took a photo of that. So I stamped Hambledon, that was the village, and near Henley and the dates that we were there. And I've used a wood floral with a little sequin inside there, and a puffy heart there, which has definitely been repurposed. A tag here for my stash. I've just said that we arrived at 4 o'clock and our hosts greeted us and gave us a tour of the barn we are staying in. We went to the pub for dinner, quite a beautiful English village location, absolutely stunning. If you've never been, it's Hambledon Village, near Henley-on-Thames, about 4 miles away from Henley-on-Thames. Absolutely stunning, quintessential English village. They've got a pub, a shop, post office, village hall. They've even got like a garage, a car garage there, just stunning. A church, and just a beautiful location. So yeah, this is repurposed. So this is always be on the lookout for the presence of wonder. Repurposed puffies here, and we saw a black pheasant in the garden where we were staying, and we get pheasants here where we live, but I'd never seen a black one before. So that was interesting, and there was a lot of wildlife there, which was really nice. And this is where we stayed. So this is the owner's home here, and then this is where we stayed here. So it's kind of like this, like an L shape. We stayed here. There was some more in between this building and this building was some more barns, and this was the owner's house here. So it was a shared garden with the owners. So I was saying it's got a lovely cottage garden. We saw the black pheasant on the first day, and we'd never seen one before. Stamp in there. And then I've used the back of that pattern paper for this page here. So this is in the pub in the evening, the first evening, Buddy and Chester just in the pub there. My husband sat relaxing in the cottage when we got back. And then this is the walk down to the village. So we're staying over here somewhere. And this row of houses was just absolutely stunning. And what you did was you walked through the fields, these fields to get to the village. Or you walked along here, then across, then up through the fields, and we were sort of staying up here somewhere. So just a photo, really, of the village, absolutely lovely. And then, again, pattern paper, and I've probably used both sides of it. I have just a torn piece here. These flare pieces are repurposed, as is this piece here, which says, "Live the life you've imagined." It's one of those Tim Holtz metal pieces. So I've just said here that we quickly settled into accommodation. The sofa is mine. My husband gets the high back chair, and Chester likes the armchair. And Buddy switches between squeezing in with my husband or with me. Is that a hair or is that a... I think it's a bit of pen. So, and then this is the bedroom. So I'm not sure if the dogs were supposed to go to the bedroom or not, but I always take with me 2 giant throws that I get freshly washed. I take them with me, and I cover everything. I cover the main pieces of furniture with them. So there's no way these boys would sleep like in a basket or anything. So they're on the bed. And this bed, there's a lot of history in this place. The man who owned it, his family had lived there for quite a number of years, and his grandfather, I think, actually made this bed, hand carved this bed in 1902 or something. It's like so much history there. It was amazing, family history. And then this is a photo at a pub that we go to. Have I put that in the wrong way? Yeah, I put it in the wrong way. It's supposed to go this way. I just realised it's supposed to go this way. So I'm saying about we quickly settled in, and then I've got the pub photos from the day after there. So yeah, no, this is the way it's supposed to be. So time to relax with Buddy, and just a photo of me and Bud on that sofa. And I used the Chanel Main Character Energy Alphas because the throw that I take with me is that colour, and it's a similar colour, and I thought I'd use them. I don't just save them for, you know, best special layouts. If I can use stash, I'll use it, even if it's on like a little mini album. So they're a new product. And then so on the first day we were there, we went over to Wendover Woods, and at a pub that we used to go to when we lived on the mainland. So and the pub itself was actually unrecognisable, because when we used to go there, it was like a pub, traditional pub, quite a small traditional pub, and it's been taken over and it closed down for years. I think it went into disrepair, and the people who've got it now sort of transformed it into, it's more like a restaurant really. It's absolutely beautiful and quite a unique sort of Mediterranean type menu. So it was a lovely place, and and I'd looked it up beforehand to see if they had gluten-free food, and they had amazing gluten-free food, a gluten-free menu, which was fantastic. So I was really happy. And it's a pub that we used to go to with our dogs Billy and Elvis, so it's quite emotional going back there. And the wood that we used to go to with our dogs Billy and Elvis. So yeah, it was an hour or so from where we used to live on the mainland where we were staying. So we travelled over to this place, which is, as I say, is a place we used to go to. So this is my husband with the dogs outside the pub, me sitting out in the garden with the doggies, because we were really lucky with the weather. I mean, since then we've had storm after storm, haven't we? But the week we were there was fantastic, amazing weather. Repurposed flare piece there. These flare pieces with the words on definitely came from Hey Little Magpie. And then I've just put two photos together here. So this is the dogs again here in the garden, and this is my husband sitting on the other side of the bench seat. And then I took this photo because I got a cheesecake, and it was amazing, gluten-free cheesecake. Because most of the time when you go to a pub, if they do have a gluten-free dessert, it's almost always brownie or ice cream, which, you know, neither of which I would choose. So yeah, they had cheesecake and it was amazing. This is a repurposed sticker, repurposed puffies, and then I've just used the Project Life card here. So in this album I'm using, so far I think it's just pattern paper that I've cut down, but I am using Project Life cards as well. This is just pattern paper here. So then I had a full sheet in here, so I wanted to put that photo in, and then I had another photo, and this was at the woods that we went to. So although it's on the back of there, I really wanted to fit it in, this photo into the album. And because it's a full page, I think I only had one of these page protectors, and also I only had 2 large photos that I was going to use. I'm just saying, a trip down memory lane, so much more here now. They've got a large cafe there and a Go Ape children's activity centre. And we just had a little wander, and there's a Tim Holtz repurposed piece there that says Wander. And then this is, I'm just saying about the village being quirky. We walked into the village, this was on Sunday, so this was the next day, Sunday. We walked into the village to go to the shop, get a few supplies, and we just went back to the cottage we were staying at. We made ourselves a bolognese, and we just had a relaxing day. And this was the walk down to the village, and there's these 2 ponies in a field. And yeah, it's just, oh my gosh, it's just, as I said already, absolutely stunning village. And this is just walking down there. And then in a couple of places in the village, they have these sort of trimmed hedges with funny, you know, things attached to them, like Wellington boots and things. So yeah, it was quite, I think they've got a sense of humour in that village. Repurposed textured layered sticker, and I've used my white jelly roll pen for the journaling on here. And then the day after that, my husband had to go do a little bit of work, so he had to go off to do a little bit of work, and I was at home with the dogs, so I just relaxed and read my book at the cottage with them. And then at one point I let them into the garden. The owner was in the garden doing something, so I just sort of shouted over to him. I said, oh, hello. And then of course the dogs were not on the lead because we had free reign of the garden, and it just, in a split second, I realised that her front door wasn't quite closed. And I shouted over to her, I said, oh, you know, is your door open, kind of thing, but it was too late. Buddy and Chester had barged into her house and ran amok, and I was absolutely mortified. And this lady was so gracious about their adventure. They ran through the kitchen, and it was a really, like a farmhouse type kitchen, a really lovely old property, and they'd gone in and they'd gone through into like the main living area where there was like carpet and stuff, and I think they went into the lounge. I just hope they didn't jump on the sofa, and I'm surprised they didn't run upstairs. Oh my gosh, I was mortified. Anyway, the lady was so gracious. She didn't seem at all concerned that the dogs had charged into her house. Anyway, yeah, so I managed to get them out again and put them on the lead and escape. And as I was chatting to the lady, she was telling me that her daughter lives in the village where we used to live on the mainland. So that was interesting. And then my husband came back about lunchtime. We had a walk into the village. We had a little drink at the pub, in the beer garden, and that was that day. So then the next day we went over to Burford, which we'd been to on our holiday that we went to in 2022, the beginning of 2022, our little holiday to the Cotswolds. We'd been to Burford, a stunning town, and I wanted to go back there again. And also I knew that there was a couple of pubs that did really good gluten-free food, so I wanted to go back there. So we went over to Burford. We went to the Mermaid Inn and had a little bit of fun here in the naughty corner, and this is the doggies, and they had a really good gluten-free menu as well. And I wanted to see the medieval bridge because we'd missed it last time we were there, but look, someone crashed into it. and it's all damaged. And when I looked it up, there was a few bridges in the area that had been damaged by vehicles. I couldn't believe it. It's a medieval bridge. So I took a photo. We had a pub lunch, and yeah, I was shocked at that. And then the day after, which was the 11th, we went another trip down memory lane. We went over to the Royal Standard pub at Beaconsfield, which was a pub we used to go to with Billy and Elvis, and we had a little walk there that we used to do, a little circular walk. We did get a little bit lost on the walk though. It took a bit longer than we expected, and we went a different way. We obviously didn't remember the walk from before. But anyway, we had a pub lunch there, and again they had good gluten-free options. And this is a field I don't think you can see, but there were a lot of sheep. Can you see the sheep in that field? There are a lot of sheep in that field, a lot of sheep. So we walked through that field and then out the other side, of course. And then they've got, in this pub, they've got the King Charles room. And of course, my dog's a Cavalier King Charles. So I took a photo there. And I have got a photo there before, actually, from a few years ago. And yeah, this pub, they claim to be the oldest free house in England. But I think there's one or two pubs that claim that. But it is very, very old and very interesting. So then on the next day, we went over to Henley-on-Thames. We had to go there, of course. And then I found out about a pub called the Flowing Spring pub that did amazing gluten-free apparently. And also it's one of those pubs that has lots of music and events going on all through the years. Quite a good community pub. And they had gluten-free fish and chips. And when a place has gluten-free fish and chips, you just know that they know what they're doing. And usually there's someone there who has got celiac, who works there like the chef or somebody. And I think that was the case. And I've never been to a pub like this before. It wasn't like a fancy pub or anything, but everything they made themselves. They literally made everything. So they even down to things like ice cream they made themselves. They made all the pastries, all the pizzas, everything they made from scratch themselves at the pub. And we was chatting to the chap who served us was the brother of the chef and I think the owner. And yeah, just like absolutely just amazing. I wish that we could go there more often. It wasn't 100% gluten-free pub, but it was like the options that they had were just incredible, and they had desserts and just like it was just really nice, and they were dog friendly, of course. So yeah, we had a really nice time. That's just a postcard from Henley, flare badge there, jelly roll pen again, and then the last page here is this is me eating the fish and chips at that pub. And then this is the dogs at that pub, and I've just got another flare that says awesome. All these flares have been repurposed from Haley at Magpie from layouts that I've already done. And then this was the journey home. So it, like I say, it was just it wasn't like an amazing time or anything. My husband did have to do a little bit of work whilst we were there, and of course it had been postponed from the spring, so it was October, even though we were lucky with the weather. So it wasn't like I didn't want to do like. What I'm trying to say is I didn't want to do like spend a lot of time and do like a really fancy album and what have you, but I did want to document it, and that's what I've done. So here on this last page, rather than adding more on a separate page for the final day, I just put this photo of travelling home here. And my husband, we did have to do a detour on the way home as well for work. So just saying that we had to go to Portsmouth to collect some crystal on the way home. And again, that metal piece there from Tim Holtz repurposed. So that's that album done. And then the other thing that I got up to this month, as I wasn't doing many layouts, is my Project Life. My 2021 Project Life album. So this is the second half of that year, because the first part of it is in another album. So I have done Project Life in 12 by 12 two or three times over the years. 2018 was one of the years that I did do that. But in the process of doing my scrapbooking housekeeping, I realised that I hadn't actually finished this album. So I'm not going to show you the whole album. I don't know if you want to see that or not. But what I'm going to show you is what I've actually just done. So because I'm going to show you that I hadn't finished it and that I wanted to finish it. So I'd done this up to here, and then I'd started October, and I think I'd done all this here, but I hadn't done any more. There were one or two photos in place, but I'd not finished it. And because I did a Christmas album in December, so up until this year, or most years, I do a December album. So I don't put December in my actual, when I do Project Life, I don't put December into that album because that goes into a separate mini album. So I knew that I hadn't done October and November. So I keep a diary on my phone, and I also, I'm not doing a paper diary now, but this year I was doing a paper diary. So what I did was I went back to my paper diary, I went back to my phone and my camera roll and everything, and looked at what photos I wanted to put in this. And I thought, you know what, I'm just going to finish it and then it's done, isn't it? Because I'd sort of started it and there were little gaps and things. I didn't like that at all. So I thought I'd just show you what I did using some of the stash that I've sort of repurposed and what have you. So I'd already done October. So I was just saying Chester getting cosy on Elvis's bed here, because Elvis passed away in the May, and this was always Elvis's bed, and Chester kind of took it over, and he likes to mess it up the way Elvis used to do. So I'm using quite a lot of Project Life cards here, and if it's these look as though they're all Project Life cards, and if they're not Project Life cards, then it's just cut down scrap paper. So I was saying here that we'd gone into the purple again on COVID, on the COVID map, possibly due to the Isle of Wight festival, but cases are rising everywhere, usually mid 30,000s. Deaths are low, but still too many. The hospitals are busy, so I've just still got COVID going on in the end of 2021. And then this was the 3rd of October, and I was just saying that 1st of October, our anniversary of when we met, and the weather was too bad to go to Ventnor, which is what we like to do normally. So we took Buddy and Chester to Pets at Home, and we got a new bed and lead and harness for Bud, but they didn't have any extenders or collars. And this was that time when you couldn't get anything; everything was out of stock, and you know it was hard to get anything that you needed. So that's a photo of Chester there. So then I've used one of my alphas here to put Sunday, and I've also made a roast dinner here that we had. So we've moved on to Sunday. And I'm just saying, and because I wanted to get this album done, I'll be honest with you, I was just trying to get it done. So there's not a massive amount of embellishment. I'm just telling the story of the rest of the year. So I said we had a roast beef lunch, and ordered a new mobile phone. My husband was away for a couple of days, and then the chap who fitted our kitchen cupboard came to do that. We'd had our Ray-Ban oven taken out because we got a new boiler, a different one, so we weren't using the Ray-Ban anymore, and the chap came to fill the gap in our kitchen, and it looked amazing. I said it looks amazing, and it's now the dog food cupboard. And just saying that, I made a layout called Mind the Gap, and it was my first proper YouTube video, and it wasn't actually a process video, it was a layout share. So after I did the original craft room tour, which was my first video, the next video was the layout share of this cupboard, and it was called Mind the Gap. So yeah, he fitted a cupboard here. So in here used to be our Ray-Ban oven, and he actually put as a cupboard in, and he did the worktop and everything, and you just can't tell. He's an amazing builder. You can't tell that was done at all. That's another memory there. And then moving on, photo of the boys here. I think they'd been to the parlour. So yeah, as you can see here, I was just telling the story. I was just putting highlights on this Project Life card here of what we did that month. So all Project Life cards here. And I'm just saying we went to Parkhurst on the 10th, which is a walk we go to. We went for lunch on the 13th. The dogs went to the parlour, which is here. And we had a couple of walks up at Martystone, and then a couple of beach walks, and we had lunch at another pub, and then I was working in the office, and that was when I made that spooky Rocky. So that is another video, one of the early videos on my channel, when I made the Halloween Rocky. Marks and Spencer sell them, and I forget what they're called now, but I've put them on my channel before. And I read the ingredients, so I wanted to make it myself, so I made one myself, like a Halloween themed one. And I really like that video as well, actually, and I really like the layout. And if you've not seen it and you want to see it, go back. It's called Spooky Rocky, and I made my own embellishments and things, and I absolutely love that layout. So that alphabet again, repurposed Tim Holtz piece here that says life is about creating yourself. And this is a Project Life card here, another Project Life card. This is a photo of me at the beach, one of the beach walks that we did. And this is Buddy and Chester love going to the beach and the pub, just like Billy and Elvis did. We live in such a stunning place. So this was on the beach again, one of those walks that we went to the beach. And then this was Martystone, which is a down, like more of a countryside walk rather than a beach. It's a down. And I just put this alpha and put the boys, and then Martystone walks, and then the pub alpha, glitter alpha used here. And this is the dogs in the front of the pub, which overlooks the sea. And I've written the pub there, Spyglass. I did it upside down, and I thought, oh, you know what, I'm not going to redo it. Right, and then we're into November. So this is a repurposed one of those layered stickers, repurposed flare pieces, repurposed Tim Holtz piece, alpha that I've got that I use a lot of, and some alphas that I've used quite a lot of as well. Project Life cards again, or Project Life type cards. And yeah, not a lot of embellishing, just telling the story really. So Mum and Dad came for a week. We went to the Donkey Sanctuary, God's Hill, the Range, and we had a pub lunch. And then I've put a few highlights, like we went to Golden Hill Fort, Shanklin Beach and the pub. But it was 4 years since we fostered Buddy. We went to the park a couple of times, and we got fish and chips. So this was before I was a volunteer at the Donkey Sanctuary, and we were still wearing masks at that point. So was this the first? No, Mum and Dad had been before this actually since COVID. This was another time that they visited. So yes, I had my donkey mask, and I still take that with me to the donkey sanctuary. Actually, I don't wear it, but I think in future when I'm doing hays or doing any kind of treatment with the donkeys, I think I'm going to wear it just to protect myself, just from the hay, fragments of hay, you know, that kind of thing, breathing it in. And then this is me and Mum, a little selfie there, and then this is the 4 years since Buddy joined our family. So this is me and Bud with Chester in the background there. This is one of those funny chats during COVID, you know. This is after they've gone home. And normally I'd be chatting with Mum's head, but that's not too bad actually. I've said always funny to chat with Mum's head on Messenger, but yeah, I can see her whole head there rather than just the top of her head. Park, play. This is at Parking Cows, where we take the dogs sometimes, and then that's it. So although there's nothing on the back of here, I'm not going to do any more, and I'm not going to add anything to it. I'm just going to leave it as it is. And what I'm hoping to do is amalgamate this album. So I've got a few, like I said, I've got a few Project Life albums, and 12 by 12, and I'm hoping, because I've got some albums that are slightly wider than this in the 12-inch size, and I'm hoping that I'll be able to fit all my Project Life into those 4 albums once I've finished all my housekeeping, so that this album will be better utilised, because, you know, as you can see, it's only half full. Or failing that, squeeze everything into, you know, I don't know how I'm going to do it, because they're different years, but I'm definitely going to try and fit them all into like fewer albums and have one spare. And I don't think I'll be doing 12-inch Project Life again, because as much as I absolutely love it, I also find it a bit stressful because it's hard to keep up with, isn't it? So, and it's not my most creative work. My most creative work is when I do my layouts. That's what I really like doing. And these are all damaged, look where they've been scratched. So anyway, this video has turned into a really long video, even though there was not a lot to show you. But yeah, one layout, Donkey Traveller's Notebook, holiday album, little holiday album, and finishing off a project. So not a bad month at all. I haven't done any spending at all. I don't intend to do any spending. I do need some adhesive. I've got very little adhesive, so I probably will get some adhesive at some point, but other than that, I don't intend to do any spending at all. And I think probably no layouts, but you will be seeing my House of Scrap videos on a Friday, and if anything, if I do layouts in between that, I will post them, but don't expect them, so don't think there will be any at this moment in time. I am focusing on the House of Scrap. So once again, thank you so much for joining me. Thank you for your support. Stay safe, take care, and I shall see you next time.